So I've been researching quite actively in the southwest of Bangladesh and some parts in India to understand how a medium to longer term impact of climate change has deteriorated women's livelihood, their health. Particularly in my research, what I have found in the immediate consequences of disaster when the displacement occurs, majority of women, particularly young women and elderly, young women and middle-aged women, they take shelter in the cyclone shelter, right? So during the cyclone shelter, they get raped sometimes, particularly when it is in the southwest of Bangladesh. This case is unreported because their voices are not taken into consideration by the journalists during the immediate consequences of disaster, right? So unwanted touch and rape and sexual intercourse is quite common phenomenon not only in Bangladesh, in India, Fiji, Laos and other parts of the world, and most of the cases it is unreported. So that kind of unwanted sexual intercourse cause unwanted pregnancy during the teenage period. We need more research to understand the dynamics of these things. And secondly, while particularly young women, Muslim women, indigenous women, they take shelter in the cyclone center during the immediate consequences of flooding, for example, there are some insensitive man, particularly the young man, Muslim man. A man can be coming from any religion, doesn't matter. They have, particularly the area where I have done my research, there has been a strong, long established patriarchy. And that patriarchy is inspired by misinterpretation of Islam in the Shora in the southwest of Bangladesh. So when I did my research in 2018, I was doing an ethnographic field work. There have been 1,314 households, all are Muslim households, you know. So many women, they used to cry because they were brutally raped by a group of young people. But unfortunately, they were unable to identify who were those rapists. This is one case. Second case, during the midterm consequences, when the NGO arrives in the field, they distribute a lot of humanitarian reliefs, right? Which is a good thing, of course, but it's not a longer term solutions. But in terms of distributing the relief goods to the affected women, particularly young and teenage and middle-aged women, I have heard that many of them have experienced sexual harassment from the representatives, reps of the local government. For example, if a woman doesn't sleep a night or doesn't provide some special moment with a local chairman or chairperson, he will not be enlisted in a master role to get the disaster scheme financial aid or lentil or let's tell rice coming from the external sources of relief goods. This is quite common, but unfortunately those incidents are never reported because maybe a BBC journalist or a national television journalist, they wouldn't bring it, which is very, very political and inhumanitarian. So there are two types of disaster. One is emotional disaster for young women and particularly elderly women, particularly school goers, year 11 and year 12 goers, and they are not enough politically empowered to raise their voice against this kind of injustice led by climate change. It is another kind of disaster injustice that goes against human rights.